was a sort of late starter, really, by Melbourne standards. All my mates at primary school had already played 1 or 2 years in under-10s. My dad played, I think, 4 games for South Melbourne. And obviously, yeah, and he had a young family, and there was 5 in our family, four girls and myself. And clearly he mustn't have been a star or whatever, but he played the 4 games. But, you know, when I started and I wanted to play, he didn't want to let me. You know, he just said no, basically, and it was a crazy game, you know. So at some point maybe he loves it now, and he loved it but he sort of tried to steer me away from it, to be honest. And I played squash up until I was about 9, and I was going to Sunday school, and, you know, Church of England Sunday school, and, you know, used to say the prayers every night and then put on the slack pants on the Sunday and come home to mum's baked cake. So fundamentally, you know, the motivation was to play footy to get out of Sunday school, you know. So, and then some long-term family friends now. My mum used to work part-time in TAB at night, and one of the, my schoolmates' fathers, Kevin Grocock, went around and said, here's the form, you know, we want Ross to play. And then, so I signed that. I still remember the first game, played at Bundoora. They were one of those new areas that had all the kids. They had the 4 teams, all reservoir and old area, and we struggled to get the 20 kids together. And that just put me in the square at full back. But I remember the opposition kicked like 22-22, and we kicked 1 goal, so I had lots of kicks, and I thought, this is all right. And then it really blossomed from there, and I sort of took to the game, and as a junior, displayed some talent early, and so the game was always easy, really, until I got to AFL level. And, you know, so it probably affected my work ethic a little bit. I had to learn how to work. So really, from that point on, I sort of loved the game. We pursued greatness on a daily basis, but what we understood that to be was to work incredibly hard every moment, to make choices every moment that take you close to that, you know. And when the lessons I learned, and when we talk corporately and publicly, we talk about, you know, normal versus abnormal. You know, nothing wrong with being normal, and the suburbs are surrounded by normal, happy people, but ultimately at elite sport, normal equals mediocrity. So the philosophy is to be abnormal and pursue greatness and be an elite team, and that requires abnormal effort, you know, and on a daily basis. So that's our whole, if you're talking about in the footy sense, what I'm aiming to bring in culturally to Fremantle, you know, is culture the way we do things? Well, the way we do things is we're going to pursue, you know, do the work on a daily basis that's going to give us the best opportunity to succeed in the manner that we all want, you know. But, yeah, so it's about work ethic and taking the risk and building trust with those that are close to you. So anyone under the Fremantle banner, that's where my loyalty lays, you know. Obviously, you know, integrity's been raised at this point, which is, for me, sort of is disappointing and at some level hurts, but fundamentally, you know, my family and friends and players that I coached, you know, I like honesty and I like consistency in relationships. I certainly don't associate with people that just go up and down depending on who they're with. So, you know, don't discriminate, take you for what you are, and just really mix with people that fundamentally you can trust. And I think with my players, and you say, well, I bring, how I talk about my players behind closed doors is how I talk to them face to face. You've got to take the pressure and the scrutiny to experience working with a team and trying to win games of footy, and the grand final days and the wins along the way. There's been some real satisfaction in seeing young men grow, and probably my early experience of injury and leaving the game gave me real perspective that it can be over at any time, and so I really do push my players to, where they can, try and get something going outside of their life, like study or, you know, obviously some apprenticeship programs, or really trying to develop themselves. But obviously footy's a super priority. But that's all I say to David Parker. Why do we want them to have a balance? Because, you know, selfishly we know that's when they're going to play their best football. You know, so it actually goes hand in hand, you know. I'll hold them to account to high standards, you know, and I remember I read a quote once, you show me a CEO that leaves early and arrives late, I'll show you a workforce that mirrors it, but conversely you show me one that gets in there early and leads the way with hard work, and I'll show you a workforce that mirrors that as well. So I think, you know, and really respectful of the past, I think a common thread would be my work ethic, and I turn the blowtorch up on everyone, but I turn it up on myself first, and so I'm very hands-on, and I bring a strong work ethic, hold them account to high standards, and I think I've got a good balance between organisation or the team, driving the team, and the humanistic side, trying to balance that up. Bring a strong game plan. I'll work on the dynamics of effort, focus on effort, and then the mechanics, a strong game plan, and trying to make all the talent come together so it's a powerful, together it's a powerful machine. Well, certainly, I think they've been in a transition. I still think they're in a transition. They've got probably 3 or 4 really top end. Obviously Sandilands, Pavlich. I put McFarlane in that, and Mundy. And then they got, I really rate Ballantyne really highly. And there's a lot of, some maturity there, but there's some holes as well. But I don't think I've inherited nirvana, but certainly the transition is going to continue. When my quick assessment, when I spoke to Chris Bond, was pretty similar. With there's some emerging class through the midfield, with Fife and Hill, and Mundy, Morabito coming off Rico, but there's still some, and I think there's a few that have made some inroads as second and third year players, but from here are you going to continue on like, Silvani and Roberton and Subban have shown glimpses, but they really need to be stepping up from where they're at. So I think it's a list with a good runner there, then a strong game plan and everyone working really hard. We can really challenge consistently against the best teams, but I think we've got to prove that we can get over the top. You've got to create a top 4 opportunity. Until you do that, it's incredibly difficult to win a premiership. So, as I said, it was, really, it came about really quickly. I really backed in the representations that were put to me about their list, but at the time I said, this, your best 18. There's some work to do. I know the club knows that, and I know they've got great resource in recruiting, and they're doing that, and I know with player acquisition they're active. So I think that blend, we continue to build on a strong foundation and get a good run at it, is exciting. There's no doubt about that. Look, I got the board in there today, and I've put the positions up, and who slots where in the midfield, and I'm certainly confident. In my head, I got some visions for a few players to reposition them, and need to get Crowley back to his absolute best, because in my view from the outside, he's a player that has played better than he's played. He's one, and I think Adam McPhee, when he tagged Lenny, has fantastic, but I see him playing that half-back roll-off role. He's a monster athlete, so the injection of Ballantyne with speed through the midfield, and I think Morabito coming back, and then it's getting the best out of Anthony, Silvani, Anthony Kepler-Bradley. There's a few of those roles. So doing the team today, and then it's really getting to know the Broughton's and the Ibbetsons, and Duffield was really good against the Saints and then fell away. So I feel I know them because I've analysed them twice pretty well, and I went through with Chris Bond, and I wasn't too far away. And I know the young players really well because I got heavily involved last year, so I know Michi's a really exciting talent. I know he's had the injury. Pitt, the beautiful skill and the athlete, and he played, get some body on him. Crichton from the year before. I really liked Mellington myself. I think he's quick and he's hard. I really like Walter's skill and hardness, but we've got to develop the AFL physically fit and mental toughness. So there's a bit there to work with. And look, after doing it, did an analysis the other, and then there's, Michael Johnson. I think he's got to take, he can really develop even more than he has. So, I feel like I know them. Even when I presented at St Kilda, my philosophy was let the cobblers do the cobbling. Once you get your good people in there and the principals and we're all on the same page, let them go. I've already had discussions with Brad Lloyd and Chris Bond. I understand who player acquisition, who's going, trade week, what are the issues. So, and all with an aim of building a list that can compete for a fair period of time. Am I confident? Yeah, predicated on the fact that we do the work and we commit. I think there's going to be some challenges, no doubt, but I'm more confident with the experience I've got than I was 5 years ago. I'm not coming in to cut people off at their knees. I want to work with them. I want to continue to grow the club because obviously there's a lot going right there. Yeah. I'm really excited by the challenge. The decision's been made. It's about the future. It's an exciting time. An enormous amount of work. We've got to get systems and people with character and work ethic and pursue excellence to get to a standard that gives you an opportunity to win your premiership. So it doesn't guarantee anything, but I know without it, you're no chance.